What is a constitutional crisis? A constitutional crisis happens when the U.S. government systems break down because the normal rules of law aren't being followed. Right now, we're at risk of one if Donald Trump refuses to follow the Supreme Court's rulings, which would mean defying the rule of law. Recently, the United States Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration's freezing of USAID's nearly $2 billion in funding is illegal and that they need to reinstate it because those funds were allocated by Congress, so the president doesn't have the authority to unilaterally shut that down. The U.S. government is built on a system of checks and balances, meaning no single branch has absolute power. Congress makes the laws, the court interprets them, and the president enforces them. If Donald Trump ignores the Supreme Court ruling, it means that the executive branch is challenging the authority of the judiciary, which threatens democracy itself. If one branch can ignore another, what stops a future president from ignoring election results or refusing to leave office? Now, this wouldn't be the first time Trump disregards legal rulings. He was impeached twice, once for abusing power in Ukraine, again for inciting the January 6th insurrection. He defied court orders on immigration policies. His administration ignored subpoenas during the impeachment trials. So yeah, he's definitely done this before. And when I think of like an actual constitutional crisis, like a substantive one, I think about what was happening with Nixon and Watergate. Richard Nixon refused to release evidence, but when it became clear that he'd be removed from office, he resigned. That's an example of the system working, but coming dangerously close to, a really big issue. I think about the Civil War in the 1860s. The U.S. government didn't have a clear response when Southern states rejected election results, so it led to war and ultimately 600,000 Americans dying. I think about even a more recent example, right? Like January 6th, Donald Trump's refusal to accept the election results led to an actual attack on the Capitol. If he ignores the Supreme Court now, what happens next? I mean, 1, Congress could step in, maybe consider impeachment again. 2, the courts might issue stronger orders. Or 3, public unrest could grow, and we've already seen where that can lead. So why does this matter to you? I know some people are going to be in the comments, I don't really care about politics, it doesn't affect me, but it does, right? Like, this isn't just about foreign aid. If Donald Trump can ignore the Supreme Court, what stops future presidents from ignoring election results? January 6th shook people because it was a preview of what happens when power goes unchecked. If legal systems can't hold Trump accountable, what's next? Now, ultimately, Donald Trump has not ignored the Supreme Court yet, but given his history, it's a real concern. If he defies this ruling, we could be headed towards one of the biggest constitutional crises in U.S. history. So what do y'all think? Are we headed for another January 6th moment? Drop the comments down.